Don't play with it, don't be the size. Ay, still not understanding.
Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to my channel. Today we are talking about a topic that is really important to me because it's part of my goals. And if you watched some of my last favorites videos, we did a little goal recap. But today I wanted to talk to you about my running journey and give you some tips and tricks on how to start your running journey if that's something of interest. So let's dive right in. Okay, so I wanted to talk about just the beginner's journey of running. So if you're a runner, you've been running for a long time, you're advanced, intermediate, feel free, drop some comments below. Would love to hear what you do in your running journey. I wanted to talk a little bit today though about some of the things that helped me get started in my running journey from the very beginning to what's helping me get back into running a half marathon. The first thing is starting slow, recognizing where you're at. If you've never ran before, start with like walking and jogging and like doing intervals that are very slow and steady. The idea is really to not push yourself too hard right from the beginning. So you want like a combination of that walking and running. You're gradually increasing your intervals. Maybe you have a walking pad at work that you're using while you're working to help get some movement in. But you're listening to your body. You're not going out of the gate super hard. Really want to make sure that you, one, enjoy it. You don't get injured. And I think that's the biggest thing is you want to prevent injuries. Okay, so my next tip is getting proper shoe wear. If you watched my March favorites, I actually go over the shoes that I like and the ones that I'm currently running in. I started my running journey using Brooks, and then as like I fell off running and I focused more on lifting, and then I went back to running, I ended up getting fitted for On Clouds, and that's what I'm currently running in. I can kind of show you the shoe I'm running in. I can show you the shoe that I do intervals in because they're two different shoes. And the same with my walking shoes. They're different. I have shoes for different things that I'm doing because it's customized to the movement and my foot. I highly recommend going to a running store, having them analyze your stride, your gait, your arch, measure your feet, do all of the actual like review of what type of shoe you need for running and get custom fitted. You don't necessarily have to buy them there. I like to buy them sometimes at the running store because they're usually smaller businesses and I like to support local, but you can get them online. You can get them at big retailer stores like Shields or trying to remember what big stores that are back home that are still in business, maybe like Big Five, I don't know. You can get them on Amazon, you can get them on the store's website. So like you can find like alternatives for them being more cost effective, but I highly recommend investing in a good pair of running shoes because your feet are what's carrying you throughout your entire running journey. So get like really good, properly fitted shoes. That's super important. Okay, one thing I think that gets overlooked is actually your running form. I feel like people just run and don't actually like cognizantly think about like how they're running and what their stride is. A lot of times we tense up when we're running, so we're running with like fists. I like to keep my hands loose. So there are times where if I'm running, you see me running, I will be shaking my hands out a lot. There is a Peloton instructor, her name is Jess Sims, and I take her running classes, and she always talks about running like as if you have two ice cream cones in your hands. You don't want to crush them, so you're just like loosely holding them while running. So I don't know if that would help, but like imagine that you're holding two ice cream cones and running. That form with your hands helps like you not be so tense. Some of the other things like that you can look for is like where you keep your shoulders. Like if you tend to run with your shoulders really high up, like that's going to put a lot of strain on your neck and your traps and your lats. So just try to run loose. I always like to, before I start running, I'll roll my shoulders back and I'll just make sure that I'm keeping my arms at this 90-degree angle as I'm running. The other thing is your stride. You want to always make sure that like depending on how fast you're running, like kind of recognize where you're hitting at your foot, whether it's like the front of your foot, the ball of your foot, the heel. Like you want to make sure that like, depending on how fast you're going, that you're landing softly. It's more mid-foot. So like you can, as you go faster, you're going to be aiming for like quick turnover. So you just want to make sure you're not like slamming your foot down. You're not leading with your toe or your heel. It's definitely like mid-foot. It's more soft. You don't want to be running like really heavy to where like you hear yourself slamming. So I think that's like something, again, that gets overlooked. I would say pay attention as you like gradually like increase your miles, increase your speed. Your form is super important as well. And there's a lot of great videos you can YouTube, literally like how to run or like running stride or like tips on running, like tips on running form, and like people have made videos upon videos of like proper running form. That way like people are, again, preventing injuries. So the next tip I think kind of goes with everything that we talked about in terms of goals. Like you want to be setting realistic goals that you can achieve, right? You can have a really big goal. So like I want to run a full marathon, but you've never ran in your life, or you had an injury and you're getting back into running. And so like the mindset of just knowing that like you gradually have to build up to running that marathon. So you need to set like smaller goals so that you're feeling like you're accomplishing things within that time period. And then you have trained enough to get up to that big goal, which is your marathon. So like what I like to do is my goal is a half marathon by the end of the year. I've set smaller goals. I've done 5Ks, I've done a 10K, and then I'm working up to my half. So like back home, there were like 15K runs that you could sign up for. There's none here that are local like that. It's mostly just 10K or half. And so I'm setting a goal for myself to run a 15K in a specific period of time, as if I was like actually competing. And then my big goal at the end would be my half marathon in the fall. So you want to be able to set like realistic goals that are achievable, that are milestones for you. So whether it's like, I want to run a mile under 12 minutes. I want to run a mile in general. Like I've never run a mile and I want to run without stopping. Like those are really great, very achievable goals that are realistic within a time period. So I always like to use SMART goals to be able to measure success over time, right? You want them to be specific. So I want to run a mile under 12 minutes, measurable, okay, 12 minutes or less. So you can measure that. Achievable. It is achievable for anyone to run that if you train for it. So proper training around that goal. Relevant, right? It's relevant to your larger goal, which is I eventually want to run a marathon or a half marathon or whatever the case may be. And then time bound. Like I want to run a 12-minute mile or less within the next 2 months. That gives you exactly 4 weeks to train to get faster and hit that mile mark. So again, I think SMART goals are amazing to be able to like set realistic, achievable goals for you. It's pretty intuitive, but I feel like I have to say it, is listen to your body. Like you could be doing a training program, you could be doing my couch to 5K training program, my 10K program, whatever the program may be. And maybe one day your body is just like, I can't do this, I'm sore. And it's not the kind of sore where you're like, oh, a shakeout run will help. It's like my body hurts. If it's like my body hurts, I'm in pain, my knees hurt, my feet hurt, whatever that case may be, listen to your body, take a rest day, do recovery, do an ice bath, do some foam rolling. Like all of that is going to be your friend over time. And there's no need to I think the biggest fear is that people are worried that if they take a rest day or if they veer off the program for a day or two or whatever the case may be, that they're going to lose all of the progress. And that's just not the case. Like you're not going to lose the progress for taking 1 day of rest or like switching your program around to have your rest day sooner or whatever the case may be. Listen, you'll actually do better because your body is recovering and that's what it's telling you it needs. So listen to it. track your progress over time. Don't get discouraged. And again, if there's any advanced runners, intermediate runners that are in my following, I would love to get your comments below. Like, what are things that worked for you when you started out running? What are some tips, tricks that can help motivate and inspire beginner runners to be able to tackle their running goals? Would love to hear that from you. So drop it in the comments below. Again, I appreciate y'all following the journey that is this channel. I definitely appreciate it. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe and share, and we will see you next week.